Everyone keeps telling you the Florida dream is gone, that the prices ran away, that the insurance ate the rest, and that the only people buying houses here now arrived with a suitcase full of cash from somewhere more expensive. And in a lot of this state, that is true, but not all of it. There are still towns in Florida where a regular person on a regular budget can walk in and buy an actual house with a yard in 2026 today. Now here is the part the cheap lists never tell you honestly, and the part the comment sections always demand. Cheap always has a reason. Every affordable town in Florida is affordable because of something, and the smart move is not chasing the lowest number on the screen. It is finding the town whose trade-off you can happily live with. The good news is this. In Florida, cheap almost never means broken. It usually just means inland, overlooked, smaller, or simply too far from the beach to carry the beach premium. And in a lot of these towns, you also get the thing this audience asks me for more than anything else: a home on land you actually control, without a $1,000 a month association telling you what color to paint your front door. So here are 10 of the cheapest towns to buy a house in Florida right now. And for every single one, I am going to tell you the honest reason it is cheap and exactly who it is perfect for. Number 1 is the place I would personally buy if the budget were tight and the goal were the real Florida dream. Stay to the end. Number 10 is Palatka in Putnam County, and Palatka is about as close as Florida gets to a genuine bargain on the water. This is an old river town sitting right on the St. Johns, the kind of place with brick storefronts, giant live oaks, and a riverfront that any coastal town would charge a fortune for. Here is the price reality. While the rest of riverfront and waterfront Florida has gone completely out of reach, homes in and around Palatka still routinely start in the low 200,000s, and you can find modest older houses for less than that. So what is the trade-off, the honest reason it stays cheap? Palatka never built a big job market. It sits roughly an hour from Jacksonville, Gainesville, and St. Augustine, so it is a place you live affordably and drive out of for the bigger paychecks. It is small, it is quiet, and it is not fancy. But for the buyer who works remotely or who is retired and does not need the job market at all, that trade-off is close to perfect. You get Rivertown charm, real trees, and space at a price the coast forgot existed. Many of these are old single-family homes on their own land with no association at all, which matters to a lot of you because the most common thing I hear is that people are tired of paying a board to tell them how to live. If I were buying cheap and I wanted water and character, Palatka would be on my short list. Number 9 is Lake City in Columbia County. And Lake City is what affordability looks like when a town's main asset is its location, not its glamour. This is the crossroads of North Florida, the spot where Interstate 10 and Interstate 75 cross, which historically made it a working town built around logistics, trucking, and passing through rather than showing off. The price reality is strong. Home values here remain among the lowest in the state, with plenty of solid single-family houses available well under $200,000 on lots that would be unthinkable at that price farther south. The honest trade-off is that Lake City is functional before it is beautiful. It is not a resort town, and it does not pretend to be. The jobs lean toward healthcare, the highways, and the regional hospital, and the lifestyle is small-town North Florida, closer in feel to South Georgia than to Miami. But for the buyer who wants genuine acreage, a low cost of living, and an easy drive to Gainesville or Jacksonville, when they need a city, Lake City delivers more land and house per dollar than almost anywhere. And here is something worth saying plainly, because the comment sections always jump to it. Lake City is not cheap because it is dangerous. It is cheap because it is a small working town far from the coastal premium. And those are completely different things. And out here, the association fee is usually a number that does not exist. If I wanted space and a low monthly ENUT, This is real value. Number 8 is Brooksville in Hernando County, and Brooksville is the quiet, historic alternative to its booming neighbor. While nearby Spring Hill exploded with newcomers and saw its prices run hard, Brooksville, just inland, kept much more of its old small-town character and much more of its affordability. The price reality here is encouraging. You can still find older homes and modest houses on real lots in and around Brooksville in a range that feels like a different decade, often comfortably below the state median, with genuine country properties available if you go a little farther out. The trade-off is distance and pace. Brooksville is inland, it is hilly and rural by Florida standards, and the nearest big city amenities mean a drive. The job market is thin, so this is a town for retirees, remote workers, and people who deliberately want a slower life. What you trade in convenience, you gain in land, trees, and breathing room, and a lot of these older homes sit on their own acreage with no association rules at all. For the buyer who finds the new subdivision lifestyle suffocating and wants something with roots, Brooksville is a genuine find. And the contrast with Spring Hill next door is the whole lesson of this list in one place. 2 towns, minutes apart, one that priced itself up chasing the boom, and one that stayed quiet and stayed affordable. If I wanted old Florida hills and quiet, I would look here. Number 7 is Wauchula in Hardee County, and Wauchula is on this list because it is flatly one of the most affordable places to buy a house in the entire state. This is the agricultural heart of Florida, citrus and cattle country, a small town surrounded by groves and ranch land where the economy runs on farming rather than tourism or transplant money. The price reality is striking. This is genuinely the part of Florida where a habitable single-family home can still be found for well under $200,000, and where land is cheaper than almost anywhere on the peninsula. Now here is the honest trade-off, and it is a real one. Wauchula is rural, it is remote, and it is small. You are an hour or more from any major shopping, any major hospital, any major airport. The job market is agricultural and limited. This is not a town for someone who wants nightlife, variety, or a short commute to a corporate job. But for the buyer who genuinely wants country living, land animals, and the lowest possible cost of entry into Florida homeownership, Wauchula is unmatched on price. You are buying space and quiet, and you are accepting isolation in return. This is the most honest trade-off on the entire list because nobody ends up in Wauchula by accident. You choose it on purpose, eyes open for the land and the price and nothing else. If the dream is a place of your own on real Florida land for the least money possible, this is it. Number 6 is Leesburg in Lake County, and Leesburg is where affordable Florida meets the lakes and the retirement lifestyle. This is the heart of the Harris Chain of Lakes, a region of interconnected waterways northwest of Orlando, and it sits right next to one of the largest retirement communities in the country, which means the amenities, the healthcare, and the services are already built out around it. The price reality is the appeal. Leesburg itself remains markedly cheaper than the big planned communities beside it, with affordable single-family homes and a strong supply of value-priced options aimed at retirees and budget-conscious buyers. The honest trade-off is that Leesburg is not glamorous and the summers are hot and inland, with none of the coastal breeze. It is a practical, lake-dotted, retiree-friendly town rather than a postcard. But that is exactly its strength. You get lakes, established healthcare, easy access to Orlando, and a genuine community at a price the coast cannot touch. If you want the active retirement lifestyle without the price tag of the famous communities next door, Leesburg is a smart, underrated pick. And a quick note on accuracy because it trips people up. The affordable homes in Leesburg are the older, established neighborhoods in the town itself, not the brand new amenity communities you see in the glossy ads. So when you go looking, make sure the price you are quoted is actually attached to the home you are seeing. And by the way, if you have followed me this deep into the list, you are paying closer attention than most people who just want the cheapest number and a thumbnail. So if this is useful, the subscribe button is right there. Number 5 is Crestview in Okaloosa County, and Crestview is the Panhandle's affordable back door to the most beautiful beaches in Florida. The famous emerald water and white sand of the Gulf Coast around Destin and Fort Walton Beach is breathtakingly expensive. Crestview sits just inland, about half an hour north, and that short drive is the entire reason it is affordable. The price reality is excellent for what you get. Crestview offers newer homes and solid single-family houses at prices well below the coastal towns it sits behind, which is why it has been one of the faster-growing towns in the region. The honest trade-off is simply that you are not on the beach, you are near it, and the area's economy leans heavily on the nearby military presence, which gives it stability but also a particular rhythm. For the buyer who wants access to those world-class beaches, a growing town with newer construction, and a price that leaves room to breathe, Crestview is one of the best value equations in Florida. The stability of the local military presence also means this is not a boom and bust town that empties out when one industry leaves, which is worth more than people realize when they are betting their savings on a place. You trade beachfront for a 30-minute drive, and you save a fortune doing it. And because so much of the recent building here is newer construction, you sidestep one of the quiet traps of cheap Florida. An old roof that no insurer wants to touch, which on an older bargain home can erase the savings overnight. If I wanted the Panhandle beaches without the Panhandle beach price, this is the move. Now stop for a second, because this next stretch is the part that matters most. If you have followed the trade-offs this far, you're already thinking about this more carefully than most people who just chase the lowest sticker price and get burned. Whether you are buying your first Florida home or planning a move on a fixed budget, the final 4 towns are where the value gets the strongest, where cheap and genuinely livable finally meet, and where I would actually spend my own money. This is the part you came for. Number 4 is Milton in Santa Rosa County, and Milton is the affordable anchor of one of the most quietly desirable corners of the whole state. This is the Western Panhandle, just inland from Pensacola and its sugar-white beaches, a region of rivers, pine forests, and small-town life. The price reality is genuinely good. Milton and the surrounding Santa Rosa County area offer affordable homes on real land, with prices that sit well under what you would pay an hour in any direction toward the water. The honest trade-off is location at the far western tip of Florida, a long way from the peninsula and its cities, with a smaller town pace and a drive to reach Pensacola's bigger amenities. But for the right buyer, that is the appeal, not the drawback. You are near the famously clear water, near a real city in Pensacola, surrounded by rivers made for kayaking and fishing, and you are paying inland prices for all of it. Much of the housing out here is on land you own outright, with no association overhead. If I wanted the Western Panhandle lifestyle, the rivers and the beaches and the pine country, without the beach town price, Milton is exactly where I would look. Here is something worth having if you own property anywhere in Florida or you are weighing a move here. Every town worth buying into and every town worth avoiding in this state is now in one place, 40 Florida towns, 20 rated to buy and 20 rated to avoid, in a single guide called the Florida Buy and Avoid List for 2026. You can get it through the link in the description below. But stay right here, because the number 1 town on this list is the one I would personally buy into if I were chasing the real Florida dream on a tight budget. And the reason almost nobody talks about it is exactly why it is still affordable. Number 3 is Sebring in Highlands County, and Sebring is the lake country secret that retirees keep quietly finding. Sitting in the central highlands of Florida, this is a region of clear lakes, gentle hills, and warm winters, far enough from the coast and the big metros to have escaped the worst of the price surge. Sebring offers genuine lakefront and lake access homes, plus affordable single-family houses at prices that would be impossible anywhere near the ocean. The honest trade-off is that Sebring is small, it is inland, and it is calm to the point of sleepy, with no big city nearby and hot summers without the coastal breeze. But for the retiree, the remote worker, or the budget buyer who wants warm winters, real lakes, and a peaceful community, that quiet is the entire point. You get lake living and Florida sunshine for a fraction of the coastal price. If I wanted calm water and a slow, affordable retirement, Sebring would be very hard to beat. Number 2 is Fort Pierce on the Treasure Coast, and Fort Pierce is the answer to everyone who insists you cannot buy near the ocean in Florida anymore on a budget. You can. You just have to know where. While the rest of the Atlantic coast climbed out of reach, Fort Pierce in St. Lucie County held on to a pocket of genuine affordability right by the water. Fort Pierce offers homes meaningfully cheaper than its glossier neighbors up and down the coast, with real access to the beach, the inlet, and the Indian River Lagoon, at prices that feel like a mistake compared to towns just south of it. The honest trade-off is that Fort Pierce is a working town, a historic fishing and citrus port, still in the middle of its comeback rather than at the end of it, so it is grittier and less polished than the manicured coastal towns nearby. But that unfinished quality is precisely why the price is still reasonable, and why the upside is real. For the buyer who wants genuine coastal Florida, beaches and water access without paying the full coastal premium, Fort Pierce is the best value on the entire Atlantic side. If I wanted the ocean on a budget, this is where I would start. And that brings us to number 1. I told you it was the place I would personally buy if the budget were tight and the dream were real, and I meant it, because it combines the two things almost impossible to find together in Florida: true affordability and genuine natural beauty. Number 1 is the Nature Coast, the string of towns in Citrus County like Crystal River and Inverness on the quiet Gulf side north of Tampa. This is the part of Florida that time forgot, and that is the highest compliment I can give it. Crystal River is famous for its crystal springs and the manatees that gather there in winter. Inverness sits among a chain of beautiful lakes, and the whole region is built around nature, water, and a slow old Florida way of life. Despite all that beauty, Citrus County remains one of the most affordable coastal adjacent areas in the entire state, with single-family homes, lake access properties, and even spring-fed canal homes at prices that the rest of Gulf Coast Florida abandoned years ago. The honest trade-off is real, and it is the same one that protects it. There is no big city, no major airport close by, and the pace is genuinely slow. The jobs are limited, so this is a haven for retirees and remote workers, not a place to climb a career. But that is exactly the trade so many people in this audience are looking to make. You get springs, manatees, lakes, fishing, and warm winters on land you can actually afford and largely control, without the coastal price and without the heavy association fees that come with the fancy communities down south. If I were buying the real Florida dream on a tight budget, the Nature Coast is where I would put my money. So here is the thread that ties all 10 together. Not one of these towns is a dump, and not one of them is cheap by accident. They are affordable because they are inland, overlooked, rural, or simply far enough from the beach to escape the premium. And every one of them asks you to trade something: convenience, glamour, or a big job market in exchange for a price you can actually live with. The buyers who win in Florida this year will be the ones who picked the trade-off that fits their life. So tell me where you stand. Drop a comment with the Florida town you are considering, whether you are buying your first home or moving on a budget, and the one thing you refuse to compromise on: the water, the space, or the absence of a homeowners association. And tell me which cheap town you think I missed, because I read everyone. If you are the kind of person who believes the real Florida dream is still out there for a regular budget, hit the subscribe button right now, because next I am showing you the flip side. The Florida towns where you would be paying double for the exact same house you could own free and clear in one of these. And the number one will genuinely surprise you. We will see you in the next one.